Hi, good morning. I just wanted to ask, oh look, it's a bit, just check everything's okay there. But I just wanted to talk to you today about being frustrated. You have to excuse me, I'm just setting up a new camera. There you go, so hopefully, right, let's start again. Good morning, happy Monday. Now that kind of thing that just went wrong there, now that kind of thing could have really got me frustrated. That's the kind of thing that I'm going to be talking about today. Because, you know, I really hope you had a good weekend. I hope that everything went just the way you wanted. But how about if it didn't? How did you feel then? Because I'll have to tell you what happened to me yesterday. Okay, I had got up early. I had put time aside to set something up. It was something technological that I had to do. I had this bit of technology that I had to kind of master. And I didn't. I failed miserably. And I could feel myself getting really, really angry and upset and wound up and frustrated and every emotion you could think of. You know, it was just dreadful. It just, my whole well-being disappeared and my resilience had gone out for a walk. Zero. Now I knew that nothing dreadful was going to happen if I didn't get this thing done. I knew that no one was going to be kneecapped, no one was going to be locked in a basement for a week, nothing was going to happen. So why was I so wound up? Well, I think there are a few things that came into play here, and I think I'll just go through them now. You see, there was a time element, because after all, I'd got up early, I had decided to do this thing today, and I was going to get it done. You know, that feeling, yes, it's going to get done. So I was working on this. I thought it'd take a couple of hours. And then I thought, oh, you know, and I can go and do whatever I need to do now for the rest of the day. Good idea. Didn't happen because it didn't take a couple of hours. Nothing I did was going right. And the more I was getting frustrated, the more I was getting upset because nothing was going right. Of course, you can imagine, I was winding myself up, my mood was going down, I was getting more and more frustrated. The more frustrated I got, the more buttons I pushed that were wrong, not just my buttons, actually on the laptop, and it was just all going to pot. It was as if there was a virtual clock ticking away, just eating my time, making me more panicky, and yet we had nothing we needed to do that day. Tony and I were going to be at home. We were just maybe going to go for a walk. We were just going to potter about a bit. We hadn't been home for a while on a weekend, and we were just going to enjoy just being. That was the plan. But I wasn't enjoying being at all. I was just so frustrated. I felt like this was a waste of time. This was a waste of my time. Now that's a funny thing with time, isn't it? Because how can we waste time? I mean, it isn't, I can't hold on to it. I can't put some away. We all get 24 hours and it's up to us what we do with those 24 hours, isn't it? But this felt like it was a real waste of time. It felt as if time was slipping through my hands like sand on the beach. You know? And it's crazy, isn't it? Because we all get 24 hours and it's up to us what we do with them. Now, you know, for some people, going for a walk on the beach might seem like a waste of time if they're particularly driven. Someone else, that might be the best use of their day. You know, sometimes I really want to get on with exercise and I get into this kind of mindset, like, I don't have time to exercise. It's a waste of my time because I should be busy. Well, really? That's just completely made up. And what a, as I say, crock of shit. I've said it now. But that is, you know, it's crazy. But I was feeling like this yesterday. I was feeling like, I can't get this done. It's not working. My time is disappearing. What am I going to do? Because clearly there was just a finite amount of time in the whole universe that I could do this thing. That's how it felt. And then, of course, what else did that lead to? Well, it led to that sense of failure. Because surely I was failing because I wasn't getting this thing done. What? How stupid was I? Everyone else can do this. I must be really stupid. So then, on top of all the frustration about time, I had a whole side order of feeling like a failure. So that's nice, isn't it? That's really going to help me along in my mission. So I started thinking, oh, you know, I was getting more and more cross with myself. Why can't I do this? It's so simple. And of course, the more I was telling myself this, the harder the task seemed. It didn't seem to be getting more simple. It certainly wasn't getting any easier. I was just getting more and more cross. Because you see, my idea of how my morning looked obviously was my map, and it didn't fit what happened. It just didn't fit. So I had this expectation, you know, like I talked about before. I had this expectation of what was going to happen. And then, guess what? It didn't. And then I was surprised, and I was upset, and I was angry. And that's so funny, isn't it? Because then I started getting into also the it's not fair thinking. It's not fair. Why is this happening to me? Do you know what? Nothing was happening to me except self-created anger, upset and frustration. But it felt like that in that moment. It was like, why is this happening to me? It's not fair. I don't know what I'm doing. Why can't I have someone to help me? Why isn't anyone helping me? Ooh. You can see, yeah, how it's going. I'm just going to see. I think I might have a question. Nope, I'm fine. That's fine. So just I can answer those afterwards. So I was in this feeling like it's not fair and why is this happening to me and all of these things, which again, you can imagine weren't exactly helping my state of mind. So then, of course, I had the failure, I had the frustration, I had all this self-judgment on me. Now, back to the time, you see, I was getting really frantic that I didn't have enough time to finish this, because then I started thinking about all the other things that I could be doing with my time instead of trying to do this, because this was really awful. But I wasn't doing those other things, was I? I wasn't actually doing anything else. I was sitting trying to get this thing done while I was winding myself up about all the other things I could be doing but weren't doing. So why was I even bothering to think about them at all? Yep, I had really fallen down that rabbit hole. You see, I felt like this was a waste of a day. It's all gone wrong. Honestly, I'm sitting here with a roof over my head and food in the kitchen. What the hell has gone wrong? Just my idea at the time, my frustration, my crazy thinking at the time. How could something that happened in the morning be a waste of the day? It's impossible, isn't it? You may have heard me talk about before or mention that, you know, when I work with people that are on diets, and sometimes if they haven't prepared a breakfast or they don't have anything healthy in, and they're rushing on their way to work and they're hungry, so they pick up a sausage roll, they say to me when we talk about it, oh, that meant it was a bad day. No, it's a sausage roll. Well, what happens is that every decision, every food decision they make for the rest of the day is a bad decision. Every food decision they make after that sausage roll is unhealthy. But the sausage roll didn't cause lunch, didn't cause dinner. It's just a sausage roll. And in the same way yesterday when I was feeling like this is a waste of a day, my day's gone wrong, this is terrible, it's like forget today, I had to really kind of give myself a metaphoric slap around the face. Because I hadn't even wasted the time. It was all a learning, wasn't it? Didn't feel like it at the time, but hey ho. So I actually had to stop. I stopped. I thought I'll just deal with that tomorrow. Nothing I can do about it now. If something occurs to me later, I'll try it. But right now, nothing. Then you see, then I had a choice. I had a choice because I had already, with the self-judgment, I had got myself into that thinking as well, that for God's sake, you know it's just your thinking. You know where your feeling is coming from. So why are you continuing to beat yourself up? Why are you continuing to stay in this bad mood? And I had to really accept that it was a choice. I was choosing to stay in that mindset, in that mood, in that frustration. Yeah? So, you know, I'd like you to think of a time that you've been frustrated about something. It could be anything at all. You know, sometimes we get frustrated with the people in our lives, don't we? Because they don't actually do the things we think they should. They don't behave the way we want them to. What's wrong with them? And then we get frustrated. Or we get frustrated that a job isn't going well, or that we didn't get a job we wanted, or that there's traffic, or that we wanted to go out for the day and now it's raining. So many reasons that we believe cause frustration, and it never is it? It's always the same thing. It's always the way we're thinking. So, you know, I did kind of get myself out of it yesterday, but it reminded me of other times that I felt so frustrated. And I remember being at a Three Principles conference in London years ago. And I love the conferences. I love it. I love seeing all our friends, people we haven't seen for years. I love listening to the speakers. I just love every second of it. It's like the 3 days are like being in a warm bath of complete bliss. But this particular day, I had been the day before really struggling with lead pages. Now, some of you are like, what? How can you? But I did. I was struggling. I couldn't understand the logic of how everything fitted together. And I was frustrated. So while I was at the conference, instead of actually listening to what everyone was saying and being in that bubble, I was kind of in that bubble, and then it popped because into my head came lead pages. And I was listening to the speakers talking about how 100% we are always feeling our thinking. There are no exceptions. And I was sitting there like, I think lead pages is an exception. I think you'll find that that's an exception. Because in that moment, that's how it felt. Well, just like my mood changed when I was at the conference, and I could say, oh, that's because of the conference, and that's because everybody was there and it was nice. Of course it wasn't. It was because I stopped thinking about lead pages and brought myself back to the moment and enjoyed the conference. And in the same way yesterday, I had to stop. Now, I'm not even saying it was like from 1 minute to the next. I can't say I was like frustrated and upset and angry, and then I was like, okay, life is wonderful, everything's fine. No, it took me a little while to kind of let go of it, let go of it, let go of it. But I did let go because, well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I add the whole rest of the day to either fester and be miserable or actually enjoy? And that's what I chose to do. And the funny thing is that the resilience that had gone out for the day, well, you know, it kind of got the train back and it was still with me. So sometimes we think of resilience as being like these, I can't even get my head around everything that's happening in America with the tornado, with the hurricanes, and then they had a tornado. You know, that is kind of unbelievable. Living in England, in the kind of climate we have, we'll have a bit of wind and everyone will go crazy. So I know in the situation these people are in, they're going to have resilience. They're going to find their resilience, and I really admire them. And sometimes we think it needs a situation like that, like something awful, that you really have to deal with something in order to kind of find your resilience or uncover it, let's say. But you know, it doesn't. It's always there. It's always there. Resilience is just there. So you don't have to go to the cache in the wall, the hole in the wall, and withdraw quite a lot of it because you need quite a lot of resilience today. Or maybe, you know, you're just having a quiet day at home and say, oh, I'll just take out a few pounds just to get something. No, resilience is just there. It's just there. And you know what? My resilience helped me to bounce back yesterday. And I actually had a lovely day. I've still got to work out the technology, but hey-ho. So I just wanted to talk about frustration. And it doesn't matter whether you're new to this understanding, whether you've just come across the principles, whether you've never heard of the principles, whether you are, whatever situation you're in, we get frustrated. And it doesn't matter if you're a coach or you teach this, you share this, you still get frustrated. The only wonderful thing is that when you have this understanding, when you see that everything is underpinned by thinking, you can let go, because you know the very next thought can give you a totally different feeling. So I shall leave you with that now and speak to you soon. Okay, bye bye.